Hello everyone. I am making a video today. It's a little bit different from what I usually put on my channel. Usually I read poems and talk about them, and I will do that, but not on the video today. Today I'm responding to a favorite quotes tag that I was tagged in on YouTube, and I was tagged by Sailing Through Books, who has a really lovely channel, very thoughtful analyses of text, a wide variety of texts that speak to and inspire her, and has, I think, really insightful analysis there that inspires me to want to read more things that maybe are off my radar a lot of the time. I am joined today, as you can see, by my friend Cooper back here, who's resting after a long night of trick-or-treating, and I'm going to go through the quotes tag and resist the temptation, as I think is supposed to happen in this video, to comment too much on the quotations. And I will confess at the beginning I've cheated multiple times, in the sense that I have several options for some of them that I'll read. Also, when we get to the poetry one, I'm cheating a little bit there because I have poems memorized from the past that I need a little bit of a prompt to get through all of the way. So you'll see those in just a minute. But let's get started here. So the first one is a quote that you return to in hard times. What about it comforts you? And this one is going to come from Act 2, Scene 2 of Hamlet. He's talking to his old friends Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and he says, "I have of late, but wherefore I know not, lost all my mirth, foregone all custom of exercises, and indeed it goes so heavily with my disposition, that this goodly frame, the earth, seems to me a sterile promontory. This most excellent canopy of air, look you, this brave o'erhanging firmament, this majestical roof, fretted with golden fire. Why, it appeareth nothing, no other thing to me, than a foul and pestilent congregation of vapors. What a piece of work is man! How noble in reason, how infinite in faculty! In form and moving, how express and admirable! In action, how like an angel! In apprehension, how like a god! The beauty of the world, the paragon of animals! And yet to me, what is this quintessence of dust? Man delights me not. No, nor woman neither, though by your smiling you seem to say so." What comforts me about this, even though it's someone describing their depression, is that when I've had bouts of depression or melancholy, this is, for me, the most accurate description of what it was that I was feeling as I was going through that. And it's so beautiful, just in expression, and it's expressed by somebody who probably thinks too much and probably is overeducated, which is something that I think too much and I'm overeducated. I'm older now than Hamlet was when he said these things, but there were times where I was teaching Hamlet right around the age in which Hamlet was saying these things. There's textual clues in Hamlet, despite him seeming like a angsty teenager, that he's around 30 years old. And just the tension within this quotation of knowing how beautiful and miraculous and majestic the world is, and how, even people are kind of microcosms of, the congregation of vapors that one sees in the sky, the majesticness of the roof, that, you can gaze upon the night sky and see these stars burning millions of miles away, and the way that they twinkle, and, it's autumn here now, and you can walk out and see just nature painting these glorious canopies of colors. And yet when you're in moments like the one Hamlet's in, there's a double kind of stabbing to the injury of depression. It's not just the things that you feel, that everything is kind of terrible and disenchanted, but knowing that the way that you're seeing those things is not the way you normally would, and knowing that you're unable to see past this kind of veil that's over yourself at the moment, adds, I think, another layer of, it kind of adds a layer of hope. It is to say, like, this is not all of me. This is something that I'm experiencing right now as sort of an illness, or something that I'm experiencing right now as a temporary ailment, but I do know, because I've experienced it in the past, that humans are the paragon of animals, the beauty of the world, that there is a most excellent canopy, a brave hanging firmament all around me, and that one day there's hope within this one day I will see it again that way. It kind of recalls for me, Camus' one must imagine Sisyphus happy as a way out of the danger and the pull of a sort of existential, I'm trying to avoid saying a certain word, but, wanting to disappear, so to say, right? Okay, that was a lot, and I won't talk as much on the previous ones. A quote or two that sums up your philosophy of life. I've given two, and I will try not to talk too much about them, but one, of course, has to come from Moby-Dick. It's probably my favorite novel, and just, again, the kind of awe within nature and what that is reflected in within humans, but also the kind of dual side of it that you're going to hear in here. Consider the subtleness of the sea, how its most dreaded creatures glide under water, unapparent for the most part and treacherously hidden beneath the loveliest tints of azure. Consider also the devilish brilliance and beauty of many of its most remorseless tribes, as the dainty embellished shape of many species of sharks. Consider once more the universal cannibalism of the sea, all whose creatures prey upon each other, carrying on eternal war since the world began. Consider all this, and then turn to the green, gentle, and most docile earth. Consider them, both, the sea and the land. And do you not find a strange analogy to something in yourself? For as this appalling ocean surrounds the verdant land, so in the soul of man there lies one insular Tahiti, full of peace and joy, but encompassed by all the horrors of the half-known life. God keep thee. Push not off from that isle, thou canst never return. And then the second quote that I'll give comes from a favorite book of mine that is not fiction, it's not poetry, it's this book of philosophy that masquerades as film criticism, but is really about ways of seeing, and that's Gilles Deleuze's The Time Image. It's Cinema 2, The Time Image. And Deleuze writes, this is in translation from the French, "The link between man and the world is broken. Henceforth, this link must become an object of belief. It is impossible, which can only be restored within a faith. Belief is no longer addressed to a situation or transformed world. Man is in the world, as if in a pure optical and sound situation. The reaction of which man has been dispossessed can be replaced only by belief. Only belief in the world can reconnect man to what he sees and hears. The cinema must film, not the world, but belief in this world, our only link." He's speaking, of course, about cinema, but I think that this applies to poetry, narrative fiction. It's I think the greatest answer to, if we're readers and we take reading seriously, why do we do what we do, right? Why read books? What do you get out of books? What do you get out of films if you watch them discerningly? And I think he answers that there. Okay, so the next one is a quote you love because it's beautifully written. Now, what I really wanted to put here, my immediate answer to it it's about a page long. It comes from The Bear by William Faulkner. And I put a note about it some months ago. I can't find the note on Substack. I don't know how to search my own notes on Substack, which is perhaps sad. But my copy of the book I actually took to school, hoping that some kid would discover Faulkner and read The Bear. So that's where it would be if I were to find it. But in the meantime, we're going to just go ahead and read this passage from Capness, from Cain by Jean Toomer. If you haven't read Cain by Jean Toomer, it's a strong recommend. It's a book that is often placed within the Harlem Renaissance era, but also modernism and the ways in which those two categories are linked but are also kind of complicated. And the beginning of Cain, or one part of Cain, because Cain is kind of a hybrid piece. There are parts of it that are poetry, parts of it that are short story, parts of it that are narrative. And within it, I'm just going to read kind of the first page. And as a quick note, in case you're following along, there's a word in here that I, as a white man, am not going to say. I'm just going to leave a pause there. I think you know what I mean. Ralph Capness propped in his bed, tries to read himself to sleep. An oil lamp on a chair near his elbow burns unsteadily. The cabin room is spaced fantastically about it. Whitewashed hearth and chimney, black with sooty saw-teeth. Ceiling patterned by the fringed globe of the lamp. The walls unpainted are seasoned, a rosin yellow, and cracks between the boards are black. These cracks are the lips of the night winds used for whispering. Night winds in Georgia are vagrant poets, whispering. Cabness, against his will, lets his books slip down and listens to them. The warm whiteness of his bed, the lamplight, do not protect him from the weird chill of their song. White man's land. Sing. Burn, bare black children till poor rivers bring rest and sweet glory in campground. Cabness's thin hair is streaked on the pillow. His hand strokes the slim silk of his mustache. His thumb pressed under his chin seems to be trying to give squareness and projection to it. Brown eyes stare from a lemon face. Moisture gathers beneath the armpits. He slides down beneath the cover, seeking release. Cabness. Near me, now. Whoever you are, my warm glowing sweetheart, do not think that the face that rests beside you is the real Cabness. Ralph Cabness is a dream. And dreams are faces with large eyes and weak chins and broad brows that get smashed by the fists of square faces. The body of the world is bull-necked. A dream is a soft face that fits uncertainly upon it. God, if I could develop that in words. Give what I know a bull neck and a heaving body, all would go well with me, wouldn't it, sweetheart? If I could feel that, I would come to the South to face it. If I, the dream, not what is weak and afraid in me, could become the face of the South, how my lips would sing for it, my songs being the lips of its soul. Soul. Soul hell. There ain't no such thing. What in the hell was that? I've written about that passage, and there's just so much to say that this video would go on for far too long, so I'm just going to kind of leave it there, and hopefully it'll inspire you to pick that text up. Okay, here's where I really need to cheat. Part 4 is a poem you've memorized and why you chose to memorize it, and they all came from school. When I was in high school, so this is a long, long time ago, and some of these have stuck with me, and some of them I am going to cheat and kind of glance off to the side just to get kind of prompts back. And I went to a Jesuit school, and so there was like really traditional activities and exercises and assessments, and often we would be offered the opportunity to memorize canonical texts or parts of canonical texts. And so one of them that I was really proud of that I still sort of have with me and I need a couple of prompts with is the first 18 lines of the Canterbury Tales in Middle English. And so that goes, Juan that April with his shore sota, the drocht of March hath passed to the rota, and bathed every vine and switch the cure, of which virtue engendered is the floor, when Zephyrus eke with his sweety breath, and spirit hath on every holt and heath the tender cropus, and young Esone hath in the realm his have corsirone, and small fulis mocking melodia that slept in all the necked with open ear, so pricketh him nature in courages, that in longen folk to go on pilgrimages, and palmeres for to sake in stronge strondes, ferne howlis couth in sondry londes, and specially from every shittisenda of England to Canterbury thy wenda, the holy blissful martyr for to sake that him hath holpen, and that thy were sake. I knew that much better many years ago, and got the bonus points for it. Another one I just want to throw out real quickly, Spring by Gerard, Manley, Hopkins. And it goes like this. Nothing is as beautiful as spring, when weeds and wheels with long and lovely and lush, thrush's eggs look little low heaven, and thrush through the descending blue doth so rinse and ring the ear, it strikes like lightnings to hear him sing. The glassy pear tree leaves and blooms, they brush the descending blue. That blue is all in a rush with richness. The racing lambs too have fair their fling. What is all this juice and all this joy? The earth, a strain of the earth's sweet being in the beginning, in Eden garden. Have, get, before it cloy, before it cloud, Christ Lord, and sour with sinning. Innocent mind and Mayday and girl and boy. Most, O maid's child, thy choice and worthy the winning. I really needed help in the second stanza, so that one has escaped me. And the last was Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost, which used to be a very important poem to me. I've grown a bit cold on Frost, if you will allow my horrible pun there. But nonetheless, this was once a very important poem for me. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He would not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the coldest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to see if there's been some mistake. The only other sound's the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark, and deep, and I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. That one I knew better than I thought. I just needed a little help right in the middle. Okay, a quote that captures how you feel about love or friendship. And I went a little bit different with these. The first one's going to be about love of a mother for a child, and the second is going to be about a possibly platonic friendship that might also be love. And one of these, the first one, is going to come from Jennifer Egan's The Candy House, which is this kind of pseudo-sequel to A Visit from the Goon Squad by Egan. And I think this book got unfairly maligned, The Candy House. I don't think it's as good as A Visit from the Goon Squad, but I think there's a lot in here that is really worth mining and spending time with. And one of the things that I come back to, it's a really lovely entire passage, to be honest, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to read some parts of the beginning here. That's the last portion of the book. It's called Middle Sun, Area of Detail. There's no mystery about this creature. A human boy. 11 years old, a little shrunken looking in his beige uniform. Nothing to hook your gaze if he isn't your brother or son. But all eyes on him now because he's the one at bat. Bases loaded. His parents and two brothers in the stands. His mother wringing a lump of yarn because it's agony watching him hit. Or try to hit. He never hits. Her emotions, cliche to anyone who's read a book or seen a movie about children playing sports and how their mothers feel, and yet, how is this possible? Fiercely specific. A wish to pluck him from that spot and spirit him away to a place where she can protect him. A craving to hold him like she did when he was newly born and smelled like milk. His first smile, a tiny sputter of lightning across his face. A thing she often recalls. A hope that he won't be dwarfed forever by his older brother who moves through the world as if it were a receiving line. A plea to someone, something, that her boy's uniqueness, so manifest to her love-struck eyes, be revealed to all. A singularity that, were there justice in the world, would rearrange the present scene and cause a beam of light to fall directly on his head. The rest of this chapter, I think, is just absolutely gorgeous and divine writing along that way, but I love that Egan spends time investing in the experience and emotions of what is essentially a cliched scene, but still kind of gives it that the specificity of those emotions. The other comes from the end of a short story called Sophistication, or a chapter of Winesburg, Ohio by Sherwood Anderson, which is one of my all-time favorite books. And every time I come back to it, I think, ooh, am I still going to like this? You know, that's the danger of rereading things as you go through life. And the answer is yes. And the answer is maybe more so even than the last time that I read it. And so here's the end of Sophistication. Give me 1 second here. She embraced him eagerly, and then again they drew quickly back from that impulse. They stopped kissing and stood a little apart. Mutual respect grew big in them. They were both embarrassed, and to relieve their embarrassment dropped into the animalism of youth. They laughed and began to pull and haul at each other, in some way chastened and purified by the mood they had been in. They became not man and woman, not boy or girl, but excited little animals. It was so they went down the hill. In the darkness they played like two splendid young things in a young world. Once running swiftly forward, Helen tripped George and he fell. He squirmed and shouted, shaking with laughter. He rolled down the hill. Helen ran after him. For just a moment she stopped in the darkness. There was no way of knowing what the woman's thoughts went through her mind, but when the bottom of the hill was reached and she came up to the boy. She took his arm and walked beside him in dignified silence. For some reason they could not have explained, they had both got, from their silent evening together, the thing needed. Man or boy, woman or girl, they had for a moment taken hold of the thing that makes the mature life of men and women in the modern world possible. This book is filled with stuff like that. I mean, this is an incredible, incredible novel or short story collection if you haven't read it. It's often listed as one of the kind of classics of American literature, but it doesn't get taught a lot, and so I don't think a lot of people pick it up, but it's just absolutely wonderful. A quote that makes you feel seen. This comes from The Courage to Be by Paul Tillich. Paul Tillich was a Protestant philosopher, and this is not explicitly religious, but it is definitely spiritual. He writes, "Anxiety is the awareness of unsolved conflicts between structural elements of the personality. As for instance, conflicts between unconscious drives and repressive norms, between different drives trying to dominate the center of the personality, between imaginary worlds and the experience of the real world, between trends toward greatness and perfection and the experience of one's smallness and imperfection, between the desire to be accepted by other people or society or the universe and the experience of being rejected, between the will to be and the seemingly intolerable burden of being, which evokes the open and hidden desire not to be." I think that gets to the heart of what we're experiencing in this age of anxiety. I think it refers back a lot to what I wrote with the Hamlet earlier, and it's wonderful. The other one that, for some reason, I feel seen by, and it was a caption for me in the yearbook one year, was, "I should have been a pair of ragged claws scuttling across the floors of silent seas." And that's from Prufrock by T.S. Eliot. The last one is a quote you'd want read at your funeral. And this actually could have been the answer for number 6. This comes from Stoner by John Williams. "Sometimes, immersed in his books, there would come to him the awareness of all that he did not know, of all that he had not read, and the serenity for which he labored and shattered as he realized the little time he had in life to read so much, to learn what he had to know." Okay, so that wraps up my own favorite quotes video. Thanks again for tagging me to Sailing Through Books, and I look forward to hearing the other people who are tagged and seeing their videos in here as well. There's a whole lot of other favorite I feel like I could have done like 3 or 4 of these, and I'm already kind of second-guessing my list, but if nothing else, it exposed you to some texts and some quotations that I find very important and meaningful, and maybe you'll like them as well. So thanks for being here, and peace be with you all.